Hello, my name is Marcelo and I am back with some tricks of the trade to get you started with pricing. We can easily understand the importance of pricing when we analyze the classic 4 P's of marketing. If we plot them in 2 dimensions, including ease of change and speed of change, there is an interesting pattern that unfolds. Place is hard to change and also takes time, so this is in the bottom. Changing your product could be just as hard or even harder. Promotion is easier to do and easier to react, but still requires ongoing effort. So pricing is in the sweet spot. In many situations, it is very easy to change and it has immediate market response. No wonder it is one of the first things we look at regarding business performance. So let us take a look at the basic mechanics of pricing. When you have a business, you have costs, which represents your effort. Price is the market value that you are able to sell to your clients. What you get is the profit. So if your net price is 4 and your cost is 3, your profit is 1. One interesting aspect of pricing is that the impact on profit is not linear. Assuming you got your cost right in this example, if you increase price by 66%, you will double your profits. If you give a 25% discount, your profit is now 0. So as you see, you may get very different returns for the same amount of effort. So how do we think this beast called pricing? There are 6 things you need to know. The economics, operations, finance, corporate strategy, the competition, and last but not least, the client. Those 6 elements are at the core of good pricing. Next, I will provide more details on each one. So, the economic aspect is the classic case of macroeconomics. The higher the price, the more units business want to sell in the market. Conversely, the lower the price, the more units customers want to buy in the market. This is how supply and demand works, and you need to be aware of this when you are doing pricing. In many cases, businesses will maximize profit when pricing is low enough to attract sales, but not so much as to hurt the absolute margin, which is when your marginal cost is higher than your marginal price. Moving on to operations. It is very important that you understand what your fixed costs are and what your variable costs are. Also, if you must be making any investments, you need to know. This will allow you to know whether you are actually making money or not. In order to truly understand those factors, you need in-depth knowledge of your company's infrastructure, labor costs, technology, and third parties. You should understand the business well enough so that you are not surprised by unexpected costs or investments that you need to make. So, there enters the finance modeling portion of pricing. And this is where many people get scared of the numbers and just stop. But the truth is that this is the easiest part. If you understand the basics of supply and demand, and you know what is behind the business, this is just a matter of filling a spreadsheet that does not need to be too complicated. The example you see in the screen shows a sensitivity regarding what happens to profit in 2 scenarios for the company in year 1 and year 2. With this being said, let us have a look at corporate strategy. So, thus far, we have been treating pricing as an exercise of maximizing profit. But is this what we are really doing? Is this what we really want? Sometimes what you want to do is to maximize sales regardless of profit. Maybe you want to gain share and lock the market from competition. Maybe you want to gain production scale. Or maybe all you want to do is sell the company, so you're boosting revenue figures. Or even, sometimes what you want is a steady stream of profits, so you do work to maximize profits. Or sometimes you want to milk your clients in the short term because you are enjoying a monopoly or you are planning to exit the business in the future, so you have no long-term concerns. So you need to keep your long-term corporate objectives in mind when you are pricing, so that you do what is coherent with what you want to do in the long term. So we have talked about economics, operations, finance, and corporate strategy. It seems we have a pretty good hang of pricing, or do we? So here is our price, and in comes the competition. The less differentials you have, the more quickly your sales will approach zero when you are underpriced by your competitor. You need to gauge how your product or service helps or even hurts when you are pricing. In the end of the day, you are only able to sell at market price and not the price necessarily we are wishing for. So spreadsheet, economics, they all fall apart if you're not selling at market price. You might need to adjust your pricing or lose sales, which is sometimes even worse than giving a discount. And this is why we discussed the business and finance portion prior to this point. If you know your business, you know if you can practice market pricing, or what you have to do to be able to get to market, such as lowering your costs. Finally, let us talk about the client, and this is very important. There are only two types of clients. So let's see type number one. Type number one is your clients. Okay, so what is type number two? Hey, they're not your clients. What you are selling needs to be aligned with what the client wants. Some clients just want the cheapest product. They are very price sensitive. Some clients, they will value better quality, and more often than not, this means you can do higher pricing. Think of the iPhone. Some clients want to feel they got a discount, even if in truth they really did, such as take 3, pay 2. This is baked in the price. This is almost psychological, but you need to understand what is in the heart of your customers. So here we are, down to the punchline. There are many pricing gimmicks out there, so it is no use trying to enumerate them all. What you need to do to build consistent price is to follow the logical process that we discussed here, and to have good guidance to know where you are stepping. Proper research and work needs to be done on each of the 6 points we illustrated here. The market has no feelings and they will hit you hard, so you need to get your pricing right. Thanks for your time, and I hope this was useful.